Why is Cyprus divided?
The island of Cyprus, part of the European Union, is located in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. It became independent from the United Kingdom in 1960. In 1974, a coup occurred that overthrew the president. Turkey invaded the island and succeeded in taking control of its northern half. This became the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, which is not internationally recognized as an independent country. Southern Cyprus remained an independent country, the Republic of Cyprus. Currently, a UN peacekeeping force of 938 soldiers monitors the ceasefire line between the two areas.
Do all countries have states?
While most countries are divided into states, provinces, or departments, there are many that have no political divisions. Large countries without political divisions include Mali, Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, and Algeria.
What did the Mason-Dixon line originally divide?
While the Mason-Dixon line commonly refers to the division between the North and South in the eastern United States, it was originally a boundary between Pennsylvania and Maryland surveyed by Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon in 1763. During the Civil War, the boundary between Pennsylvania and Maryland was extended westward to represent the line between the slave and non-slave states.
What's the difference between Greenwich Mean Time, Universal Coordinated Time, and Zulu time?
Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, Universal Coordinated Time, UTC, and Zulu time are three different names for the same time zone. This time zone is situated at the prime meridian, 0 degrees longitude, and runs through the Royal Observatory at Greenwich, a section of London, England. It is the prime meridian from which other longitudes are determined, east and west.
How long is China's Great Wall?
Located in northeastern China, the Great Wall stretches approximately 1,500 miles, 2,400 kilometers. It averages 25 feet, 7.6 meters, tall, is 15 to 30 feet, 4.6 to 9.2 meters. Wide at the base, and 10 to 15 feet, 3 to 4.6 meters, wide at the top. The wall was originally erected to keep northern invaders out of China. Though part of the wall was initially built in the 3rd century BCE, the wall was expanded over the course of succeeding centuries.
How long did Japan occupy and colonize Korea?
Japan began its forced occupation of Korea in 1910 and left the country at the end of World War II in 1945. During the occupation, many Koreans were put into forced labor, slavery, and military conscription. It is estimated that between 200,000 and 800,000 people died at the hands of the Japanese in Korea and the Manchuria region.
Will there be another ice age?
Yes, eventually the Earth will again cool and ice will cover land at higher latitudes and elevations. It may be 100 years from now or it may be thousands of years away. But the Earth's climate is always slowly changing.
How many time zones does China have?
Since China is such a large country, it should span 5 time zones. But the entire country uses one time 8 hours ahead of UTC.
Where is Timbuktu?
Though the name is commonly used to refer to an extremely distant place, Timbuktu or Tombuktu is actually a town near the Niger River, in the African country of Mali. It has a population of about 30,000 and is a major salt trading post for Saharan desert camel caravan routes.
What is a perpetual resource?
Perpetual resources are natural resources such as solar energy, wind, and tides that have no chance of being used in excess of their availability. They can be used for power generation and conversion to electric energy.
How did a lake kill more than 2,000 people?
In August 1986, Cameroon's Lake Nyos, which sits upon a volcanic vent, produced an eruption of carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide gases. The cloud of acidic gas blew into nearby villages, killing more than 2,000 people while they slept.
How many Muslims make a pilgrimage to Mecca each year?
Each year, approximately 2 million Muslims from around the world make a pilgrimage to Mecca during the last month of the Islamic calendar. While hundreds of years ago the trip took weeks or months to complete. From the vast reaches of the Islamic Empire, today most people from great distances use the modern conveniences of travel and fly to Saudi Arabia.
What is the only state with a diamond mine?
Arkansas is the only state with a diamond mine. Located in southwestern Arkansas, the mine is no longer in commercial production but is now a park. Crater of Diamonds State Park, that allows visitors to take any diamonds they find.
What is Polynesia?
Polynesia consists of islands in the region bounded by Hawaii in the north and New Zealand in the southwest. The region includes the countries of Samoa, Tonga, and Tuvalu. Also located in this area is the colony of French Polynesia, which includes Tahiti and 117 other islands and atolls.
What is Devil's Island?
Devil's Island, located off the coast of French Guiana, became the overseas prison of France in the middle of the 19th century. France stopped using the island as a penal colony in 1938.
What is the Gaza Strip?
This area of land along the Mediterranean Sea at the border of Israel and Egypt was part of Egypt until it was captured by Israel for a brief period in 1956 and 1957 and then permanently in the 1967 war. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, and Israel agreed to Palestinian self-rule in the Strip in 1994.
What is a UNESCO World Heritage Site?
The United Nations educational, scientific, and cultural organizations. Stated purpose is to build peace in the minds of mankind. It is one of the most important agencies within the UN. A World Heritage Site represents our natural or cultural wealth. The most important landmarks in the world that should be shared with everyone. Because of the special significance of these places, they must be protected for us to see, so that we may pass on knowledge of our shared culture to future generations. They can be both physical places built by man, or natural wonders.
How many people are abducted and sold into slavery each year?
About 600,000 to 800,000 people, mostly women and children, are trafficked across national borders each year and forced to work as virtual slaves. Millions more are trafficked within their own countries every year. 75% of these people are women who are used for sexual exploitation. About 280,000 of these people are sent to Asia and another 210,000 people are trafficked to Europe and Russia. Many countries participate in human trafficking, both as accomplices in providing the people to abduct by not enforcing laws, or by allowing the people to enter their borders. Some of the biggest offenders include Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Malaysia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Ukraine, Russia, Moldova, Mexico, India, Egypt, and China.
How do the Netherlands keep getting bigger?
For hundreds of years, the Dutch have been expanding the size of their country by building dikes and draining, and reclaiming, land. These lands, known as polders, have greatly expanded the size of the Netherlands and are now considered one of the 7 wonders of the modern world.
How many tourists visit Russia each year?
Approximately 1.6 million people travel to Russia each year. The majority of these tourists are from Germany, followed by the United States, China, Great Britain, Italy, France, Japan, and Spain.
What is the Royal Flying Doctor Service?
Created in 1928, the Royal Flying Doctor Service, RFDS, is a charity organization established to provide healthcare and emergency services to the sparse population of Australia's outback. With 38 aircraft, the RFDS averages over 80 flights a day, helping more than 135,000 people per year.
How big is Russia?
With 6.6 million square miles, 17 million square kilometers, and 145 million people. Russia is Europe's largest country and also its most populous. Additionally, Russia is the largest country in the world and the world's 6th most populous. Within Europe, the second largest country is the Ukraine, with 233,100 square miles. 603,729 square kilometers, and the second most populous country is Germany, with 82 million people.
Who is Nelson Mandela?
Nelson Mandela is a South African leader who was the head of the African National Congress and its armed resistance group, Umkhonto we Sizwe. This group fought against the apartheid policies of South Africa. Mandela spent 27 years imprisoned on Robben Island for his political activities. Upon his release in 1990, Mandela asserted a policy of reconciliation. and negotiation to end the racist policies of apartheid. He was the first fully representative, democratically elected president of South Africa. Serving as head of state from 1994 to 1999. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in 1993.
Where is the Western Hemisphere's oldest university?
Founded in 1538, the Autonomous University of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic is the oldest university in the Western Hemisphere.
What was the USSR?
The country called the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, commonly known as the Soviet Union, was created in 1924, 7 years after the Russian Revolution that overthrew the Tsarist monarchy. The Soviet Union consisted of Russia and its neighboring territories, such as Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and the Baltic states. By the end of 1991, communism had failed in the Soviet Union, and many of its internal republics became independent states.
What percentage of American households regularly give to charitable organizations?
Approximately 89% of American households give to charitable organizations. On average, they give $1,620, donating $295 billion annually altogether.
What percentage of the world's poor live in South America?
Approximately 3.93% of all of the world's poor people live in South America. They are mostly concentrated in Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, and Ecuador. Poor is defined as people having incomes of less than $1 per day.
What was the highest temperature ever recorded?
The world's highest temperature was recorded in the desert. In Libya in 1922. The temperature was 136 degrees Fahrenheit. California's Death Valley holds the record for the highest temperature in the United States, 134 degrees in 1913.
Where is Asia Minor?
Asia Minor is the term used for the larger part of Turkey that lies in Asia, east of the Strait of Bosporus. This part of Turkey is also known as Anatolia.
How many religions have holy sites in Jerusalem?
Judaism, Islam, and Christianity all regard Jerusalem as a very holy city. The Western Wall, the remaining wall of the Second Temple, is the holiest site in Judaism. Islam's third holiest site is the Dome of the Rock and the mosque, both located in Jerusalem. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is a holy Christian site.
Who disguised himself as a Muslim to travel to Mecca?
Since non-Muslims are not allowed into the sacred city of Mecca, British explorer Sir Richard Francis Burton disguised himself as an Afghan pilgrim in order to enter the city in 1853. Burton, having learned various languages in the military, explored India, the Middle East, Africa, and South America. Also a prolific writer, Burton published many accounts of his journeys, and is perhaps most famous for translating 1001 Arabian Nights into English.
Where does the Loch Ness Monster live?
The fabled monster is supposed to live in Loch Ness. The term loch is Gaelic and is used in Scotland to refer to a lake or narrow inlet of the sea. Loch Ness is fully surrounded by land and is therefore a lake.
Where is the southernmost glacier in Europe?
The southernmost European glacier is also high atop the Apennines, near Corno Grande. Due to global warming, it has lost a significant amount of its mass.
What is the difference between a physical and a political map?
A physical map shows natural features of the land such as mountains, rivers, lakes, streams, and deserts. A political map shows human-made features and boundaries such as cities, highways, and countries. The maps we use in atlases and see on the walls of classrooms are typically a combination of the two.
Do rivers always flow from north to south?
No, they do not. Rivers always flow from higher ground to lower ground. Though we are familiar with rivers like the Mississippi River in the United States, which flows from north to south, rivers always flow the way gravity takes them. There are many major rivers in Europe, Asia, and North America that flow from south to north, such as the Ob in Russia and the Mackenzie in Canada.
How does military time work?
Often known as military time, 24-hour time is used by many countries. It begins at midnight with 0000 and the day ends with 2359. The first two digits represent the hour and the last two digits represent the minutes. Since there are 24 hours in a day, each hour is numbered 00 through 23. For instance, 0100 is 1 a.m., 1200 is noon, 1300 is 1 p.m., and 2043 is 8:43 p.m.
Did an asteroid kill the dinosaurs?
Approximately 65 million years ago, a 6-mile wide, about 10-kilometer wide, asteroid struck the Earth. This impact might have started a chain of events that led to the extinction of about 2/3 of the Earth's species of animals and plants, including the dinosaurs. An asteroid that large would have created a layer of dust that would have surrounded the Earth, lowering temperatures, and causing deadly, highly acidic rain.
How many times have North and South Korea met to negotiate a solution to the division of Korea in Panmunjom?
Both sides have met nearly 400 times to negotiate an end to the division.
What percentage of American adults use a cell phone?
More than 89% of American adults have cell phones. And 14% of American adults use only a cell phone and have no landline. Only 9% of Americans use only a landline to make phone calls.
Where does the Tour de France begin and end?
The Tour de France changes its course each year. But the last leg is always along Paris's famous boulevard, the Champs-Élysées. The bicycle race is approximately 2,000 miles, 3,200 kilometers, long and takes 25 to 30 days to complete.
What are the most commonly spoken languages of the world?
Mandarin Chinese is spoken by 1.05 billion people. This is followed by English, with 1 billion people, Hindustani, Hindu and Urdu, with 650 million speakers. Spanish, with 500 million speakers, and Arabic, with over 400 million speakers.
What part of a hurricane is most damaging?
Floods caused by hurricanes are the most destructive element. The low-pressure center of a hurricane causes a mound of water to rise above the surrounding water. This hill of water is pushed by the hurricane's fierce winds and low pressure onto the land. where it floods coastal communities, causing significant damage. Hurricanes also spark tornadoes that contribute to the devastation.
Is the Black Sea really black?
No, it is not. This sea, located to the north of Turkey, is quite deep and has darker looking water than most water bodies, but receives its name from the inhospitableness of the waters for sailing.
How much market share does Russia's national airline, Aeroflot, have?
For domestic flights, Aeroflot has a 23% market share of all domestic travel in Russia. Nearly 10 million people fly Aeroflot each year. Siberian Airlines handles more than 3.5 million passengers each year.
Which country first granted women the right to vote?
In 1893, New Zealand became the first country to give women the right to vote.
Is the ozone layer being depleted?
Scientists have recognized that a hole has developed in the ozone layer. A hole that has been growing since 1979. The hole is located over Antarctica and has been responsible for increased ultraviolet radiation levels in Antarctica, Australia, and New Zealand. As the ozone hole grows, it will increase the amount of harmful ultraviolet light reaching the Earth, causing cancer and eye damage, and killing crops and microorganisms in the ocean.
Who is Alberto Fujimori and what has he done for Peru?
Alberto Fujimori, who was president of Peru from 1990 to 2000, was credited with ending terrorism in Peru and turning around a devastated economy. Some believe, however, that he trampled on the rights of individuals and indigenous people during his oftentimes authoritarian rule. He later was convicted on charges of abuse of power in ordering the illegal search of the apartment of his security chief's spouse. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
Where does Europe end and Asia begin?
Though Europe and Asia are actually part of one large landmass, tradition has split the region into two continents along the Ural Mountains in western Russia.
Which country was the world's first welfare state?
In 1936, New Zealand became the world's first welfare state by offering its citizens full social security and health benefits.
Taxpayers spent on the war in Iraq?
The war in Iraq has cost the U.S. economy nearly $2 trillion.
What is the leading cause of disaster-related death in the United States?
Lightning is the leading cause of disaster-related death in America. From 1940 to 1981, about 7,700 people died from lightning strikes. 5,300 from tornadoes, 4,500 from floods, and 2,000 from hurricanes. So, it's best to avoid open spaces, high ground, water, tall metal objects, and metal fences during an electrical storm.
How was the Delmarva Peninsula named?
The Delmarva Peninsula, located on the east coast, contains all of Delaware and portions of Maryland and Virginia. The 180-mile, 290-kilometer, long peninsula was named by combining the abbreviations of each of those three states: Del, March, and VA.
What is the world's longest subway system?
The world's first subway system is also the world's longest in operation. Since 1863, when it used steam-powered trains, the London Underground is now 244 miles. 393 kilometers long and uses electricity to power the trains.
How many states are in Mexico?
Mexico is divided into 31 states plus the Federal District of Mexico City. The largest state is Chihuahua, located in northern Mexico, with 95,400 square miles, 247,086 square kilometers. The most populous state is the state of Mexico, located west of Mexico City, with 14 million people.
Who invented the traffic signal?
The red, yellow, and green traffic signal that we are familiar with today was originally invented by Garrett Morgan in 1923. Morgan, who was also the inventor of the gas mask, received numerous awards for his invention.
What is Land's End?
Land's End has quite an appropriate name, as it is a cape at the southwestern tip of Great Britain, that is the westernmost point of England, the end of land in the west.
What is Aotearoa?
Aotearoa is the Maori name for New Zealand. It means the land of the long white cloud.
Who are the Magar?
Magyars are the predominant ethnic group of Hungary. The group originated in Asia, east of the Ural Mountains, and have a language much different from any other in Europe.
What are the 5 least populous U.S. states?
The least populous U.S. states are Wyoming, 493,000, the District of Columbia, 572,000, though not technically a state. Vermont, 608,000, Alaska, 626,000, and North Dakota, 642,000.
How far did the Islamic Empire spread?
At its widest extent, the Islamic Empire included most of northern Africa, Spain, and Portugal. The Balkan Peninsula, India, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, and the southern reaches of Russia. Islamic influence also spread east into western China. The areas that were under Islamic rule from the 7th through the 16th century CE still keep the religion as a major aspect of their culture.
How fast is the Russian economy expanding?
The Russian economy grows at approximately 7.9% per year, with most of the growth coming from the energy sector.
Why do houses fall into sinkholes?
Houses that sit upon limestone rock have the proclivity to fall into sinkholes. As underground water wears away the limestone rock, it creates underground caverns. If the water wears away too much limestone, the cavern may collapse, taking anything on the surface with it. A sinkhole is just one of the many reasons to have your home inspected by a geologist.
Who are Kiwis?
One nickname for a New Zealander is Kiwi. But kiwis are also a flightless bird and a type of fruit found in New Zealand. Kiwi birds, a national icon of New Zealand, have long thin beaks and lay eggs larger in proportion to their body size than any other bird. Most of the world's supply of kiwi fruit is also grown in New Zealand.
What were the Crusades?
From the 11th through the 14th centuries, groups of armed Christian Europeans invaded the Middle East to take the Holy Land from the Muslims and reclaim it for Christianity. The Crusaders ruthlessly murdered and pillaged throughout their long journey to the Middle East, and continued their brutality once there. Though the Crusades were a horrific era, the knowledge of the world gained by the Crusaders spurred a better geographic understanding.
How many states have four-letter names?
There are 3 states that tie for having the shortest name: Utah, Ohio, and Iowa.
Where is the Horn of Africa?
The Horn of Africa is the eastern protrusion of Africa that includes Somalia, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. The easternmost tip of the horn is called Guardafui.
What is the AAG?
The Association of American Geographers, AAG, is a professional organization of academic geographers and geography students. The AAG was founded in 1904 and publishes 2 key academic journals in geography: the Annals of the Association of American Geographers and the Professional Geographer. The AAG also holds annual conferences and supports regional and specialty groups of geographers.
How many republics or states comprised the former Soviet Union?
The USSR was comprised of the following 15 socialist republics: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Estonia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan.
Aside from the Louisiana Purchase, how was the American West obtained?
There were several other purchases and wars fought to gain the land west of the Louisiana Purchase. These included the Gadsden Purchase from Mexico. Sections of the West ceded to the United States by Mexico, Texas, and the Oregon Country.
How do I convert Fahrenheit to Celsius to Kelvin?
Fahrenheit and Celsius are two common temperature scales used throughout the world. Temperature in Fahrenheit can be converted to Celsius by subtracting 32 and multiplying by 5. Divide that number by 9 and you have Celsius. Conversely, you can convert Celsius to Fahrenheit by adding 32, multiplying by 9 and finally dividing by 5. Kelvin, a system used by scientists, is based on the same scale as Celsius. All you have to do is add 273 to your Celsius temperature to obtain Kelvin. 0 degrees Kelvin is negative 273 degrees Celsius.
What are the world's newest countries?
In the 1990s, over 24 new countries appeared on the map. These included 15 new countries that were created when the USSR broke up in 1991: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Estonia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan. The dissolution of Yugoslavia also created several new countries in 1991 and 1992: Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Macedonia, Serbia, and Montenegro, and Slovenia. In 1993, Eritrea became independent of Ethiopia, and Czechoslovakia dissolved into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. That same year, the Pacific Island countries of the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, and Palau all became independent. In 1990, Namibia split from South Africa to become its own country, while East and West Germany combined to become Germany.
What is the Great Wall of China made of?
Walking along sections of the Great Wall that have been restored, it is possible to see that it is made of stones and mortar. In other more remote stretches of the wall, it was hastily put together with straw and mud, and in some places even rice and mud. The trick of the builders was to make it just high enough to prevent people or horses from breaching the walls. In some stretches, the wall is only a few meters tall. In other places, it is several stories tall.
Why is there such controversy about defining the tallest building in the world?
Most of the controversy about which building is the tallest centers around defining what is a building versus what is a structure. Some buildings, in order to be listed among the tallest buildings, add other non-habitable structures to the top in order to rise in the rankings. These structures may be in the form of communication towers, which can easily add significant height to the building.
Is it possible to drive across Russia?
It certainly is. Most of the urban areas of Russia have modern expressways. But in the vast expanse of the country east of Moscow, many of the roads are rough gravel or dirt and are only intermittently paved. Driving across Russia is therefore entirely dependent upon the season. During the winter, from November to May, the roads are frozen and can be driven upon. During the summer, many roads become quagmires and are unusable.
But what if I can't find the map I'm looking for?
Not all maps can be found at bookstores or even in specialty stores. If you are looking for an extremely specific and relatively uncommon map, visit a local university's map collection. Their collections are often far greater in size and breadth than any store. If you need help locating a map, you should be able to discuss your map needs with a friendly map librarian. You can also try constructing a search on the internet that is as specific as possible. Use advanced search options to filter out results so that you may find a precise and detailed map.
What are the largest cities of Europe?
Western Europe's largest city is Paris, with 9 million inhabitants. London, 7 million, Milan, 4 million, Madrid, 4 million, and Athens, 4 million, are the next four largest cities.
How long is Chile?
Chile stretches approximately 2,700 miles, 4,344 kilometers, along the western coast of South America. At its widest it is only 100 miles, 161 kilometers, across. Chile is a classic example of an elongated country, which makes governing difficult.
How has GIS revolutionized cartography?
Geographic Information Systems, GIS, began in the 1960s with the popularity of computers. Though very simplistic in its beginning, new technology and inventions have expanded and enhanced the functions of GIS. GIS has revolutionized cartography by using computers to store, analyze, and retrieve geographic data, thus allowing infinite numbers of comparisons to be made quickly. The program formulates information into various layers. such as the location of utility lines, sewers, property boundaries, and streets. These layers can be placed together in a multitude of combinations to create a plethora of maps, unique and suitable to each individual query. The versatility of GIS makes it indispensable to local governments and public agencies.
What is the world's largest Islamic nation?
Indonesia, the world's fourth most populated country, is the world's largest Islamic nation. About 87% of Indonesians are Muslims. Islam spread to Indonesia during the medieval era.
Have compasses always pointed north?
No, they have not. Though compasses always point to the magnetic pole has not always been in the north. Every 300,000 to 1 million years, the magnetic pole flips from north to south or from south to north. If compasses had been around before the last time the magnetic pole reversed, their arrows would have pointed south rather than north.
Where is South America's population clustered?
The population of South America is approximately 371 million, 23% higher than the United States. In South America, much of the population is found along the Atlantic coast. Brazil's Atlantic coast is home to two of the world's largest urban areas: São Paulo, 18.84 million people, and Rio de Janeiro, 11.75 million people. Buenos Aires, Argentina, 12.8 million people, is also a major urban area on the Atlantic coast.
How many African countries are landlocked?
Only 15 of Africa's 47 continental countries have no access to seas or oceans. These include Botswana, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Central African Republic, Chad, Ethiopia, Lesotho, Malawi, Mali, Niger, Rwanda, Swaziland, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe.
How are interstate highways numbered?
Interstate highways are numbered according to their direction. Highways that run in an east-west direction are even numbered, while highways that run in a north-south direction are odd-numbered. The lowest numbers are in the south and west, while higher numbers are in the north and east. For example, Interstate 10 is an east-west highway that runs from Santa Monica, California, to Jacksonville, Florida, thus, it has a even, low number. Interstate 95 is a north-south highway that runs from Holden, Maine, to Miami, Florida, thus, it has an odd, high number. 3-digit interstate highways are short spur routes connected to a 2-digit interstate.
What is a desalination plant?
A desalination plant pumps ordinary seawater through a variety of expensive processes, transforming the salty water into fresh water. This process has been used with some success in Texas, the Caribbean, and the Middle East. It is much more efficient and less expensive, however, to clean wastewater. Water that has been used for bathing, cooking, cleaning, etc., than it is to clean and desalinate seawater.
What does a 40% chance of rain really mean?
When the morning weather report speaks of a 40% chance of rain, it means that throughout the area, usually the metropolitan area, there is a 4 in 10 chance that at least 0.001 of an inch of rain, 0.0025 centimeters, will fall on any given point in the area.
What two cities make up Budapest?
Budapest, Hungary, is actually two cities, Buda and Pest. The two cities are separated by the Danube River. Buda is on the west bank and Pest is on the east bank. The province in which the twin cities are located is also called Budapest.
Is Greenland really green?
In 982 CE, Greenland was named by its first colonizer, Eric the Red. Having been banished from Iceland, Eric the Red established a colony on Greenland, and gave it a pleasant-sounding name, in order to attract other colonists. In reality, Greenland is not very green. Though small coastal areas are habitable, most of the island is mountainous and covered by ice sheets. Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark.
Which Middle Eastern country has the most tourism?
Turkey has the most tourist arrivals, with more than 20 million people coming to visit each year. Because of the annual Hajj, or pilgrimage, to Saudi Arabia's religious sites of Mecca and Medina. More than 9 million people visit there each year. Over 8 million people visit Egypt each year.
What are hot springs?
Hot springs are created by underground water that is heated and percolates to the Earth's surface. aside from being natural baths. The steam from hot springs can be used to drive turbines, which create electricity. This type of energy production is called geothermal energy.
How fast do hurricane winds blow?
The strongest hurricanes have winds that reach speeds well over 150 miles, 240 kilometers, per hour.
What are the Andes?
The Andes are a mountain chain that runs along the entire west coast of South America, from Panama at the southern tip of Central America, to the Strait of Magellan, at the southern tip of South America. This chain is about 4,500 miles, 7,240 kilometers long and contains high plateaus and one of the driest deserts on the planet, the Atacama. The tallest mountain in South America, Aconcagua, 22,834 feet 6,960 meters. Is located in the southern Andes, on the border between Chile and Argentina. The ancient Inca city of Machu Picchu is located in the Andes of Peru.
How did the Black Plague affect the world's population?
Spread by fleas, the bubonic plague, also called the Black Plague, raged through Europe, Asia, and North Africa between the years 1346 and 1350. Those cities attempted to curb the spread of this highly infectious disease by quarantining cities. The fleas easily spread from city to city. Estimates of those killed reach into the tens of millions. In Europe and Asia, more than half of the population died of the Black Plague during those 4 years. Many more died of starvation in the famine that followed. Because of the staggering depletion of the workforce.
What is one of the only countries in the world to provide constitutional protection to gays, lesbians, and bisexuals?
South Africa's 1996 constitution protects gays, lesbians, and bisexuals against discrimination in both the public and private sectors. The Equality Clause in the Bill of Rights protects people from discrimination based on race, gender, pregnancy, marital status, ethnic or social origin, color, sexual orientation, age, disability, religion, conscience, belief, culture, language, and birth.
What is the holiest site in Mecca?
The most important site in Mecca is the Great Mosque, called the Haram. It is located in the center of the city and houses the sacred black stone, Kaaba. Muslims around the world face the black stone during prayer.
What time is it at the North and South Poles?
Because time zones get narrower the farther you get from the equator. Time zones would be very thin near the North and South Poles. To simplify things, researchers living in Antarctica use Coordinated Universal Time. UTC, which is the time at Greenwich, England.
Which South American territory has yet to gain its independence?
French Guiana, on the northeast coast of South America, has been a colony of France since 1817. It is officially a department state of France and is the launch site of the European Space Agency.
What are satellites photographing?
Satellites capture images of the Earth's weather patterns, the growth of cities, the health of plants, and even individual buildings and roads. Satellites circle the Earth, or remain geostationary, in the same place with respect to the Earth, and send data back to the Earth via radio signals.
Which state has the longest coastline?
Alaska has more than 5,500 miles, 8,851 kilometers, of coastline. The next largest is actually Michigan, which has 3,288 miles, 5,291 kilometers, of coastline. Far longer than both Florida, 1,197 miles 1,926 kilometers, and California, 840 miles 1,352 kilometers.
What are some of the largest South Korean companies?
Samsung, Hyundai, LG, Lucky Gold Star, Hanjin Shipping, Daewoo, and Kia are South Korean companies with global brands. They are some of the largest companies in the world today.
Where is the Barbary Coast?
The Barbary Coast refers to the countries in northern Africa that are located along the Mediterranean Sea. Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. Though the name Barbary Coast comes from the Berber people who inhabit the region. It is best known for its association with pirates from the 16th through the 19th centuries.
How cold is Siberia?
Siberia holds the record for the world's lowest temperature outside of Antarctica. On February 6, 1933, the temperature reached -90 degrees Fahrenheit in Oymyakon, Rus SIA. During the winter, almost all of Siberia has extremely cold temperatures, often reaching -50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Which country has the world's highest population density?
Macau, a former Portuguese colony consisting of a peninsula and 2 islands off the southern coast of China near Hong Kong, has the highest population density in the world. There are 538,000 people living in an 11 square mile area, 28.8 square kilometers.
How much does an employee of a maquiladora earn?
Border factories prefer to employ women, who tend not to challenge poor working conditions and can be paid as little as 1/6 of what workers can make north of the border in the United States. This is approximately $1.00/hour, with most workers forced to work on average 48 hours per week.